We continue now with our theme of highlights from Talkback. This is installment 36. In the last installment, installment 35, I demonstrated the triple tapping and holding with two fingers to both mute and unmute Talkback. Today, however, I'll be concluding the two-finger heading with the four remaining gestures. For today's demonstration, I'll be utilizing my Pixel 4 running Android 12 and Talkback 12.1. For speech services, I am again utilizing the Google Speech Services. I am on the home screen now and will tap with three fingers to open up the Talkback menu.
Android Accessibility Suite. Talkback menu.
Here is my Talkback menu. In the Talkback menu, what I'm looking for is the Talkback settings, which is basically the second to the last item at the very bottom. I'll now put my finger down and tap on Talkback settings.
Talkback settings.
We are now in the Talkback settings, and if you've been following us in this series of highlights from Talkback, this is a time that we put two fingers in the middle of the phone and then glide those fingers upward to scroll down the page. I'll now put those two fingers down and glide them upward to scroll down my page. I'll now put my finger down, find and tap on Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures.
Here is Customize Gestures. I'll tap here to activate.
Customize gestures out of list.
We are now on the customization page of our gestures. This time I'll switch my granularity to the headings granularity, and if you've been following us, we have one of three methods of changing the granularity. We could swipe up and down in one fluid movement with one finger to circle through these granularities, or you could swipe down with three fingers from the top or from the left or from the right to go through those granularities. As I have indicated again and again throughout these demonstrations that I prefer the one-finger gesture of scrubbing up and down to change my granularities, I'll now utilize that up-down swipe to change my granularities.
Spoken language.
Scrub up and down again.
Speech rate. Windows.
Do it again.
Links. Controls. Headings.
Headings, and that's where we need to be. Now that we are on the headings granularity, what we need to do now is simply swipe down with one finger to move through the various headings. The heading we're looking for here is the two-finger gesture. I'll now swipe down.
One finger heading in list.
Swipe down again.
One finger back and forth heading.
Keep going.
One finger angle heading.
Swipe down again.
Two fingers heading.
Here is our two fingers heading, and this is the one we're concluding today. As I indicated earlier, the last one that we talked about was the triple tapping with two fingers and holding to mute and unmute Talkback. Today we'll be looking at the last four, which are very familiar to all of us, and that would be the swiping up with two fingers or swiping down with two fingers to move through vertical pages. In other words, just like I did earlier on when I was going through the Talkback settings. And then we have the swipe left or swipe right with two fingers to move through horizontal pages. In other words, you will do that when you're encountering things like your home screen. In a vertical page or screen, however, we swipe up and down with two fingers. Now I'll move to those last items that I just talked about.
Swipe up with two fingers, scroll up, not customizable, disabled.
Here we encounter our first item and we're told it is not customizable. In other words, it's not changeable, it's disabled. And the reason why this is disabled is because this is a native gesture. In other words, this is a system gesture. For sighted people to scroll up or down the page, vertical pages, they'll use one finger. And for us blind people, as I've indicated several times, where it calls for one finger for a sighted person, those of us who are using screen readers will employ two fingers. And this is exactly what we're talking about. And the reason why we cannot change this, because it is a system gesture, not a screen reader-based gesture. And that's the first one. The next item.
Swipe down with two fingers, scroll down, not customizable, disabled.
This one also cannot be changed because it is a system gesture. So it's the opposite of the first item I just talked about. Let's move to the last two.
Swipe left with two fingers, scroll left, not customizable, disabled.
The same idea here. In other words, a sighted person wants to switch pages, horizontal pages. He or she will swipe left or right with one finger to move through the pages, switch from one page to another. And for those of us who are blind, of course we use two fingers to do those gestures, switching between those horizontal pages. Here's the last item.
Swipe right with two fingers, scroll right, not customizable, disabled.
And that's the last item here. And that's the last item that I'm talking about, the last four. And sometimes some people refer to them as a two-part gesture. I just refer to them as two finger swipes, which we do either up or down, left or right. So in other words, if I swipe up now with two fingers,
four fingers, heading.
you can hear that it scrolls me down all the way to four fingers. Now I'm going to swipe down with two fingers.
Swipe right with two fingers, scroll right, not customizable, disabled.
It moves me back up toward the top. Now I'm going to go back to my home screen by swiping from the bottom with two fingers and let go.
Pixel launcher.
And I'm on my home screen. This is my first home screen. If I want to go to my second page, in other words, if I'm switching home screens, I swipe from right to left with two fingers, and that advances me to the second or to the next page. The surefire is always to do that from the middle of the phone. I'll now swipe from right to left to move to page 2 of my home screens.
Home screen 2 of 4.
I swipe from right to left again.
Home screen 3 of 4.
Do that one more time.
Home screen 4 of 4.
And I am on my fourth home screen page. Now we'll swipe from left to right with two fingers from the middle of the phone.
Home screen 3 of 4.
Do that again.
Home screen 2 of 4.
Swipe one more time from left to right.
Home screen 1 of 4.
And I am now on my first home screen where I started. And that concludes our last 4 gestures from within the 2-finger heading gesture as we navigate through these highlights from Talkback.